Going to invite Nick. I'm going to ask him to unmute himself.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Nick.
How you doing?
Nice to meet you.
Likewise.
We're really good. So we want to welcome you, Nick. And I want to introduce Nick to our community. So basically, I discovered Nick, I think randomly on YouTube. I think over a year, more than a year ago. I was in... Randomly, you had a strategy, or maybe I was aligned with you or whatever. But basically Nick was not somebody I knew, but somehow he showed up on my YouTube. And what really struck me, I mean, he has a huge amount of videos now on his YouTube and amazing songs, as you could have heard. But what really struck me was the way that he connected the dots, and he showed this diagram, and I was like, oh my God, this guy gets it. He just really understands law of attraction. And this was before he became, I would say, famous, because I think you're a little bit like, like one of the new leading edge teachers right now. But you were really just up and coming then, right? And I felt it. I just saw your diagram. I was like, he gets it, because this is how I think. And he just explains it. And I just connected with you. I think we had a call, because he's more busy now, but then he still had time for people. And we had some really nice conversations.
I'll always make time for you, Angelique.
Oh, thank you. So, but I really think that I have this, I would say I have a bullshit barometer, and I recognize talent. And our community really is always very much grateful for us introducing the best teachers to them. What I also really loved about Nick was that Nick manifested the big things. So Nick actually is a 9 times hot seater in the Abraham Hicks hot seat. 10 times. I think I heard the last. And you even manifested some really crazy delay on getting off board, and then you manifested having a selfie with Esther Hicks, right? I mean, all of that stuff is like contrast always working.
It's harder to get a selfie with Esther than it is to get in the hot seat.
I mean, yes, of course. I mean, when you posted that selfie with Esther, I was like, I'm not even surprised anymore. I was not surprised. And so basically, Nick is somebody who I would say is living alignment. And, I've been following him for quite a while. And when he first launched one of these money manifestation programs, because he has manifested the money, I was like, I need to be there. I want to be there. And then he basically created, through a download, he created this membership club, which was jam-packed full of content of the way that he explains law of attraction, the way that he understands it. So, and he wrote several books. I bought his books, and his latest book is actually our next book for the Law of Vibration Study Club. And the reason being is because Nick is a really great synthesizer. And so he's very analytical, but he's also very, what we would call woo-woo. So you combine the both, and and you're very techy as well. So you're very good in, like, the videos, promoting yourself, but you have a good set of brains. But what we love about his book is actually, whenever you read the book, you feel happy. And really, I don't know what it is, but when you read the words, you just feel that he means it. He really means it. And, and I think most of you in our community are sensitive enough to know the vibration of a book or a person's life. So I know, Ellen, you read his books, right? And because you didn't know Nick, you just basically, Ellen has to listen to me just recommending all these books to her. What was your first impression when you read his book, Power Manifesting?
Yeah, I was immediately excited. So yeah, I didn't know anything about Nick until Angelique introduced me to Nick, as with many other things. Angelique seems to know everything. And I read the book, and I was just really amazed about the vibration that I felt, but also the practicality of it and the real life stories I really liked. Some stories really jumped out at me, and I just love it. So yeah, I'm so excited to study it in depth, because, reading and studying is a different thing. Yeah. So excited to get to know you better, Nick.
Oh, are you?
Oh,
how did we unmute you?
There you go. That's better.
Okay.
Yeah, and I appreciate what you just said, Ellen, because as Abraham Hicks says, life experience is the best teacher. Um, so I wanted to make sure I incorporated a lot of stories to show, what really is possible for those who apply and do the work. And my approach is about simplicity and consistency. And this whole world of law of attraction, people our minds like to overcomplicate so much of this work, and it really isn't as complicated as what people believe it is. A lot of the times it's just going back to basics and approaching things from that simple and consistent manner.
Yeah, I love that. I'm always attracted to the simple ones. Yeah, why would you also want to, yeah.
But
No fluff.
it sounds simple, but to be honest, right? When you first listen to Abraham, literally that for me it was like over 10 years ago. I literally had to study it, So basically you can say it's simple, but it's actually when you listen, you get lost. You listen to one YouTube video, you think, okay, just expect it, feel happy. And then of course we're not conditioned to feel happy. We're not conditioned to not judge. We're not conditioned to feel whatever I want is chasing me. So can you tell your story a little bit about yourself? Because you're actually a computer engineer, and I don't believe that you grew up with parents telling you, you can manifest everything you want.
Yeah. I mean, it's a long story, but I'll give you the synopsis of it. So, I did 10 years in tech. My focus when I was graduating from high school was computer science. I was that 12-year-old kid that all the adult neighbors would come knocking on the door asking for help with their computers. So going into tech was a natural thing for me. My goal was to be part of a successful startup and to retire by the time I hit 30. The last tech company was a social media company. I wasn't the founder, but I played kind of one of the key roles as an architect. And that company was acquired for 300 and some million. So that gave me the financial freedom to step away from that world.
But you manifested it, right? Because in
that's what I call my first big manifestation.
Yeah.
I would say Nick is probably the second one.
Yes.
And in the context of relationships, that gets a lot of attention too because of our synchronicity. So my name is Nick. Her name is Anik. We both share almost the same name. We met driving the same type of car. We did the same type of work. And eventually we realized that we had both left our marriages on the same day before we had ever met, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, because I've experienced, the bigger manifestations people are looking for, and the hot seats and stuff, I tend to get, a good amount of attention for that.
Yeah, but I've been following you for a long time, but you're very much, because we all believe that everything is created by our consciousness. I've seen you manifest things like, I want that tiramisu, or I want that,
That's the fun stuff.
Yeah, the fun stuff, but also things like, I was browsing all these yachts, just appreciating all the yachts, and then you're invited to a yacht, but also things like, I want this amount of money, blah, blah, blah. And then suddenly you get a download, like how to do it, and you just achieve it. Like you're such an allower. You just basically, you know, what we teach our players, you live it. But what I really love about you is that you actually have your own methodology, which you really also teach to people to become coaches in. And so you have books, you have a whole amount of YouTube videos that people can watch. But you also have a mastermind, which people can join for a monthly subscription. And you have a trainer, facilitator's course. So Nick, can you maybe tell us, what is the real core of your teaching? Like, what can people expect when they are not getting it right? Let's say they're getting all the small things, but not the big things. What would you say is what is different about what you have experienced as to work for us people who actually really want to know it? We want to do it as well.
Yeah. So there's kind of two parts to that. So one part is what I focus on. I talk a little bit about it in the new book. It's the major focus in the collective, my online community, which is telling people that trying to manifest this, that, or the other thing, that's old news. That's old law of attraction. That's old paradigm. It's time for people to step away from this notion of like making manifestation the goal and focus what I call living in the new paradigm. And when you live in the new paradigm, when you make that your focus, life gets so magical. It gets so pleasurable. You're experiencing so many fun synchronicities that you stop caring about manifestation. And when you stop caring about manifestation, guess what? You're in that allowing state, which is what lets things in. So the very, at a foundational level, it's about understanding that the act of chasing desire alone is practicing the vibration that this thing that I want is not here, which propagates that vibration and becomes more of your experience. So taking your focus off of that and focusing on stepping into the new paradigm is the very first thing I tell people. Now, the second part of all of this is the only difference between what I teach and what Abraham Hicks teaches. So the main takeaway that most people get from Abraham Hicks is, oh, focus away from your negative emotion, just focus on feeling good, right? And my take is, look at the things that don't feel good, which is your guidance system, and work through them. So Abraham Hicks uses an analogy of your cork floating at the surface, right? Mm-hmm. And your cork floating at the surface, that's you in alignment, because alignment's your natural state. And instead of everybody's cork naturally floating at the surface all the time, it's kind of down here. Mm-hmm. And when I look at the world of law of attraction, everybody's kind of efforting their way into alignment. They're doing morning practices, they're meditating, they're doing focus wheels, they're journaling. Alignment is effort, and it's not supposed to be effort. So when you look at that cork analogy, the cork is down here because there's things weighing it down. So people are using all of these practices to push that cork back up to the surface and hopefully hold it there as long as possible. But circumstances happen, they experience wobble, and then they go back down. My approach is, what are the things that are preventing the cork from floating at the surface? What are those anchors that you've picked up that's making you be down here? Let's deal with them, let's cut them away, and then allow yourself to float back up here naturally. And when you do that, alignment becomes so much easier, that your alignment is more steady and solid up here all the time. You have more of this vibrational consistency where you're now more connected, and it's much easier to let stuff in.
So basically, and that is actually where I really agreed with you, because, you know, I've been studying Abraham Hicks for many, many years, and, you know, and Dr. Joe and all these other teachers, Bob Proctor, you know, you name it, release technique. And I, to be honest, I haven't seen a lot of people manifest without clearing the, you know, the things that get them into resistance, which is habitual ways of being, how they react, and they can't even see that it really trips them up. And, you know, like, you know, we call it in the appreciation game, we call it victim consciousness. So a lot of like, woe me, you know, why is this happening to me, and really making that their whole identity. You have designed something called the belief tree process. And also you've come up with, because of you keep expanding, because I've seen you change, you adjust your models as well. And you've come up with something, what you call the freedom formula. And that is what you train people in who would like to work as a coach or as a therapist or as a, you know, business consultant. And you actually really want to teach people to work with this. Can you tell us a little bit more about the belief tree process and the freedom formula?
Yeah, sure. So I did one-on-one work with clients probably for close to like 7 years now. And, you know, it's just in the last year and a half where I was like, okay, I don't want to raise my rates anymore. My calendar is full. There's so many more people I want to serve. That's kind of when I launched the collective. So I stepped out of one-on-one work into the group program, which is the 2 calls every week membership program. And over time, what I realized is, you know, because there's only one of me and I'm not doing one-on-one work anymore, and people need the one-on-one work, I'm going to start training other people in the tools and the systems that I've come up with. And really there's kind of 3 main processes. One is called the attraction point audit. Mm-hmm. And what that attraction point audit is a way to analyze patterns of circumstances to identify what you have going on in your attraction point. Most people aren't aware of the resistance they're practicing and carrying. It's kind of like background noise. So if you turn on the dishwasher in your home, you might hear the rattle that it makes for 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, you kind of like phase it out. You don't notice it, even though it's still making that noise. Well, humans do the same thing with their emotions. So as a child, if you had that judgmental or criticizing parent that's always making you feel like you're never good enough, you're so used to feeling not good enough all the time that you stop noticing that it's there. And you can call it subconscious, unconscious. I don't know if it really is unconscious or subconscious, but it's there and people don't recognize it. So the attraction point audit, what it does is it reverse engineers physical reality into what's going on in your attraction point. And that's very important, because if you're not aware of what resistance you're carrying, then how are you going to clear it?
Yes.
Right? So that's one process that I teach. I call them, people who join my training program, I call them freedom leaders, because that's the focus of the program. So one, it's the attraction point audit. Second, it's what we call the belief tree process. And the belief tree process is a process that evolved from EFT. So I formally trained in over a dozen different modalities, everything from theta healing to access consciousness to Reiki to NLP to hypnotherapy, like EFT, you name it, I've probably done it. And that was
I'm smiling because it sort of feels like we're looking for the formula, right? I mean,
well, the approach that I came to the healing world with was similar to my tech approach. My tech approach was taking all these different technologies, combining them in new ways to create new solutions. Yeah. And what the belief tree came from was the main tool I was using and trained in. Well, I trained in all of those, but the main one I was using for a while was EFT. And over time, what I realized with EFT was it wasn't so much about this. It was more about the statements I was using and the awareness I was bringing to the person as they were tapping. Mm-hmm. And the realization in parallel to that was behind every emotion is a perspective. Might be unconscious, but there's a perspective. You cannot experience an emotion if there is not an underlying perspective behind it. So what the belief tree process is a process to help people go from surface level emotion, working through all of the layers of perspectives and emotions underneath that to clear them out.
Yes.
And then freedom formula, which is the one you mentioned, was a combination, or is a combination, of specific probing questions with the belief tree, with a few kind of like empowering statements. So it's kind of like a different formula. So the belief tree process, that's used when you have a starting point of like a negative emotion or a fear or a belief. And then the freedom formula, that starting point is kind of a circumstance.
Mm-hmm. I think you mentioned, like in other interviews with people who interview you, you said, I think in my coaching calls, you know, in the membership calls, I think you said a ratio of 80% is clearing. 80% of what you do is clearing, because after that, the allowing is so easy.
Yeah, when I was doing one-on-one work, it was like a 3-month of mostly weekly calls. And the first call was attraction point audit, reviewing concepts, giving a morning practice and some specific exercises. Every call after that was almost always all clearing work.
Yeah. And why do you, what are the things that you've seen that are easy to pick up, and where do people struggle more? Because I know you're in Canada, but you have a lot of people in Northern America, in the US. And so we're really faced with a lot of contrast. And I know in the beginning when when I was listening to your membership calls, when COVID broke out and, lockdown happened, every teacher had to say something about how are we going to face this so-called contrast, right? So what is it that you have been noticing? Because we've been inundated with a lot of like what we call contrast. And so what is it that you see is like easy to navigate for people who want to study law of attraction, and what seems to be more the difficult stuff that we need to get our teeth in, right?
So when it comes to contrast, and especially COVID, and I shot a YouTube video about this, the very first thing that I remind people is the rules of the law of attraction haven't changed. So it's not COVID's fault that you're unemployed. It's not COVID's fault that you're single. It's not COVID's fault for anything. COVID's a cooperative component, right? But the only reason you ever experience anything is because it's a match to the vibration that you're putting out, right? Yeah. So what I remind people of is A, you're not disempowered to anything. One of the things that Abraham Hicks says that I think should be highlighted more is that this is an attraction-based reality.
Not assertion.
Is no assertion.
Yes.
So if you're experiencing it, it is because you are in some way a vibrational match to it. But that's okay because you have full control over your vibration. If you can learn to be self-empowered from your contrast rather than fall into a state of victimhood from your contrast, you can't change what you don't own, right? Yes. So own your contrast, allow your contrast, learn from your contrast, because that's what it's meant for. Remember, everything that we experience is a co-creation, right? Between you and source, whether you call it your inner being, source, God, universe, whatever. And source is an infinitely intelligent, think of how big infinitely intelligent means.
Huge.
Right? Infinitely intelligent and unconditionally loving.
Yes.
Would an infinitely intelligent, unconditionally loving being allow you to experience something that was not in your benefit?
No.
Never.
Wouldn't. No.
So if you're experiencing the contrast you're experiencing, regardless of what that contrast is, there's a purpose behind it and a positive purpose, and it's created to serve you regardless of how uncomfortable it is.
And the emotional guidance system, when we're feeling bad about it, is telling us that we have the wrong interpretation of it, you know. And the thing is, we all know it, intellectually we know it, and then, you know, when you're like, let's say your business or your industry is, you know, not, you know, like maybe suddenly non-existent, it can bring up quite a lot of, you know, negative emotions. But you're absolutely right. A lot of people, you know, when we were playing the game, the first thing that we said was, how can you become a vibrational match to actually the best case scenario? As we said, you are never, ever a victim. And there was a lot of stuff going on where people were actually blaming, you know, conspiracy theories, everything was blamed, and everybody, even the law of attraction people, started to blame, you know, other people. And we were just teaching them, like, if you're going to look for blame, you're going to lose your power, and you will experience more and more contrast because you are calling that in. And you know, and I know that Abraham was had a lot of these videos. Esther suddenly changed the format, and she was saying, you can believe in any truth. You can believe in you know, she never mentioned conspiracy theories, but he said, you can believe in that and that will be true. You believe in this and this will be true. You know, choose what you want to believe in. Choose whatever you want to focus on to be true. And so what I noticed in your community, because Ellen and I are a member, because we want to learn from the best teachers, is that there was not a lot of victimhood in your tribe. And I think this is very important. So, you know, in our tribes, people also, we just say, you know, if you want to be a victim, then you're not a creator anymore. And then you definitely will get a lot of evidence that you're a victim. So, So
the reason you don't see a whole lot of that in the collective is because I pride on being authentic and being real. And I think a lot of those members know that if they drop into that victimhood state, I'll call them out on it, right?
I know, lovingly, Nick. You do it lovingly.
Lovingly, of course, yeah. But like, you know, my goal is for the collective to, you know, we call it the vibrational 1%, right? To be the 1% highest vibration community on the entire planet. And you can't be there if you're focused on the contrast. You know, you have to look at your contrast for your own growth, but you want to look at it from the right energy, from that loving place. One of the most powerful beliefs anybody can practice is my contrast is serving me. Because if you look at contrast from the energy of, ah, shit, here it goes again, then like you're not taking on a perspective that your contrast is going to serve you. And guess what? It probably won't. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, these are like the little subtle pieces of awareness that are extremely important, because it's all the little things added up that really define the quality of your reality.
Yeah. Yeah. Ellen, is there a question that comes up for you?
I'm just curious about the training for the coaches. If you can say something more
Who is
about
it
that.
for? So who would it be perfect for? Because, you know, Ellen and I, you know, we have a game which is just based on appreciation, but then we teach a lot of different teachers, you know, and so we synthesize stuff. But basically, we all say just appreciate, and we have an app for that, and we do a lot of energy work, blah blah blah. We have a lot of people who have done what you would call collecting certificates, and then they're dreaming about, one day I will have my own practice, but I don't know when. And they're really frustrated with their work, you know, with the money, and, you know, they're doubting and fearful, blah, 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 blah. What I really loved about your program is that you're not just going to teach them the tools, but you're also going to teach them how to set up a successful practice, you know, which is really what I think is missing, how to become, you know, how to get rid of the blocks to be like a real good coach, you know. And this is really where, you know, all of us can do the training, but if we're not going to get that second part, which is get out of your own way, it's going to be another certificate that you collect.
The first 3 months of that training, members are called junior facilitators. And the reason for that is the dominant focus for those first 3 months is getting people to do their own inner work. Because you can only help somebody else as high as your own vibration is.
True.
When I see most coaches who are struggling in attracting clients from a vibrational standpoint, they're so busy trying to help everybody else, they're ignoring their own stuff, right? So that's one thing that gets in the way of coaching success. There's a few different things to look at. What else? There's a few other that usually pop in my head.
They need to look at themselves first, the first 3 months.
How
long is the program?
Yeah, so the first 3 months is doing your own inner work. And what that looks like is, so the program, it's already complete. It's all recorded. It's an e-course supported by live calls right now we're doing them every week, but they're supposed to be every 2 weeks. So in the e-course, I took everything that I've learned in the last 7 years, including my processes, my tools, all the marketing stuff, like literally everything I could possibly think of is in this training. And then in those 3 months, the focus is getting the facilitators. And right now we've got about 60 to just under 70 people in, I think 19 or 20 countries who are all in it. So the first 3 months, everybody's working with each other, practicing these tools, becoming as good as they can with these tools, building their comfort level. Then there's homework, so submitting, you know, like 3 attraction point audits, 5 belief trees, 5 freedom formulas. And once they're done their homework, then they move from being junior to, you know, a standard facilitator. That's kind of the flow. And then there's calls at least every second week where we hop on a Zoom call for 2 hours. You want to we clear a block around maybe fears of putting yourself out there. You want to talk about marketing, we talk marketing. We want to talk mailing lists, we talk mailing lists. We talk processes. It's whatever those facilitators need, they get my direct attention. Because what I found in trainings, most trainings, it's a weekend, 10 days, you do the training, the last day it's done, here's your certificate. The trainer's like, okay, see you later, have fun, right? But most of the real learning happens with the life experience. Most of the real learning happens when you sit down with the client and then something comes up and you're like, oh, I'm not quite sure exactly if I did that the right way, right? So this training, it's not just a training, but it's an ongoing system, an ongoing community of freedom leaders whose goal is to bring alignment to the masses. And alongside the one-on-one facilitator train you to be a coach, there's also what we're putting together, which fingers crossed will be ready in September, a weekend seminar or a 2-day, I call it the seminar in a box, which it's giving you everything you need: student manuals, instructor manual, PowerPoint, everything you need to deliver a high quality 2-day seminar where you're teaching all of this stuff, all of these tools to other people so they can use it for themselves, on themselves, to up-level their game as well.
So can you tell maybe, you know, because there's so many trainings out there, you know, I know the Bob Proctor one, you can become like a thinking into results consultant. You know, there's you can be a theta healer, you can do fit faster EFT, you know, there's multiple trainings. Can you tell us a little bit about, you know, the success stories that you've seen from people that work with you? I mean, I'm in your, we're in your Facebook group, so we can actually see people manifesting things, you know, some of them it's money, some of them it's like, you know, really having more joy in life, more alignment. Some of them are just really more in an allowing state. There's lots of things happening, and some of them just really clearing a lot of like what we call garbage and resistance. What are some of your favorite law of attraction breakthrough stories of the people that have been working with your processes?
Oh, there's been, I mean, it's been 6 or 7 years, so there's so many stories. Like, you know, I've seen people get over chronic pain that doctors said would never go away. I've seen people manifest, you know, 5-figure amounts of money. We did or like 5 or 6 years ago, I did a 6-week money program, and I think there was 30 participants who manifested over 200,000 within 8 weeks, I think it was. What else? I mean, tons of relationship love stories. I mean, I've seen pretty much all the things. I can read you, like, here on my website. Here's a testimonial that I put on there. The lady says, you know, or I said, how effective is the freedom formula? And the lady said, I had EMDR therapy, hypnotherapy, Reiki, Feng Shui, crystal healing, which all helped with, I stayed stuck and felt emotionally paralyzed, plus 3 different coaches as well. I was heartbroken. I couldn't work out why I was holding on to. Nick advised me of his free e-course, which I did, and it was a huge eye-opener. Then I read the book. This was the biggest shift and transformation I've had. 4 years, I had been looking for the answers, and now I finally understood it. It wasn't limiting beliefs, but I had become addicted to fear and focused on lack. So felt consistently isolated, which was my childhood pattern too. After doing the freedom formula, I finally let go. I now sleep through the night. I have restructured currently my business, which I was ready to give up on. I got lazy as hadn't taken a day off in 4 years. I relaxed, actually allowed, and now I'm excited. Nick, thank you. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, I've got lots of different testimonials. There's lots on my website if you want to go find them.
Yeah. I mean, it's so heartwarming. Sorry.
Go ahead, Alan.
If there are any prerequisites to be a trainer, like the 3 months are, doing the inner work, but do you need to have done any inner work?
Excitement. Right? I tell people excitement is your highest form of inner guidance, right? All outcomes exist. All possibilities exist, right? Anybody can be a coach. Anybody can do any training, right? So really our true highest form of guidance from our inner beings is excitement, right? So the question is, are you allowing yourself to follow your excitement? Are you suppressing your excitement? Are you allowing your fears and issues around lack preventing you from stepping forward, right? So no prerequisite, just excitement, excitement to dive in, excitement to be a coach, excitement to work with others. I think some people even signed up because this program was cheaper than what I was charging doing one-on-one work with people, and they're getting just as much claim work out of it, right? So, you know, it's being detached and just following the flow of what feels good.
So it sounds also a lot like the group is very close. Am I getting that right? That they're working a lot together as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's the program only opened up July 26th, so it's only been a month. But already, like, people are doing exchanges like crazy. It's a very, you know, it's everything I do is very high vibe, right? So it's a very high vibe, loving community. Like, you know, in one of my emails, I shared that the one thing that can make the biggest, most positive impact on the entire planet is more alignment. There's not a single more powerful force in the world than alignment. And my goal with this freedom formula training is bring more alignment to the world, right? And how do you do that? Well, let's train freedom leaders. Let's allow people who are excited and understand the power of alignment to dive in and find that alignment for themselves. Because as a freedom leader, as a coach, the most valuable way that you can help other people is not all the certificates on the wall. It's not all the trainings. It's by you first and foremost living it for yourself. And by living it for yourself, that's going to show other people what's possible. And that's when they're going to go say, oh, hey, Ellen, wow, you're amazing. I love what you're posting. I love the way you live your life. How do you do it? Right? So again, it's with the freedom leaders, the first step is getting them to live that life, getting them to spend those 3 months clearing their shit, putting them in a place where now they're living a life or living at a level where A, they're displaying it, but B, they're now helping others and inspiring others to do the same thing too.
Can you tell us a little bit about the timing of the program and how many months and maybe a bit of the cost? And we want to be very,
Yeah, sure. It's always ongoing. So it's
always ongoing.
Like earlier, remember how I said how a lot of trainings, it's done and then bye-bye, see you later, and you just don't have the support anymore. And in my experience, people who take start and stop trainings, only like 20% of the people actually keep moving forward with it after the trainings are done. I think it's because of the whole start and stop. So this is an ongoing annual membership type community where once you're signed up, you've got my support full time, right? So it's ongoing live calls every second week to ensure that those freedom leaders have all the support that I can give them. The training launched July 26th. I was initially doing like an early adopter program pricing, which was going to last until I had 10 countries signed up. Mm-hmm. Now we've got like 19 or 20, but I extended the early adopter price to the end of this month. So right now it's 3333 is the annual fee, or 1111 every 3 months. And you're getting, like, I did up the math, you're getting $9,200 worth of stuff. You're getting access to the collective included in that, which is a $1,200 a year program. One of my friends, he's a marketing expert, and he launched a online marketing program, marketing and entrepreneurship. And everybody who signs up to this training gets free access to his training, which is a $3,000 program. So it's just like, it's packed and packed and packed with value.
Yeah, I think I saw your marketing friend in one of your calls. Yeah. So, and we want to be really clear, because we really believe in creating win-win, and we don't believe in competition, because Abraham doesn't believe in competition. Everybody's, we're creating our own vortex. So we only promote.
Can I pause you on that?
Yes.
There's no such thing as competition.
Yes.
That's such an important message for coaches.
Absolutely.
An example I used with somebody earlier today is, if you're an entrepreneur and you've got 5 business options, A, B, C, D, and E, and you're trying to figure out which is the best one, which one's going to succeed, which one's going to fail, which training is right for me, which training is going to make me $1 billion. A, B, C, D, and E, the one you choose doesn't matter, because if you're at the vibration of success, whichever one you choose, the end result's going to be success.
Receptive mode.
If you're at the vibration of failure, doesn't matter which one you choose, end result's going to be failure. And even I don't like the word failure, because if it's not the intended outcome, it's still exactly what it was meant to be. Right?
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. So I had to interrupt. Keep going.
No. So basically what we're saying is, we promote the best people, and it could be that you actually stop your membership with us and you start with Nick, but we don't believe in competition, because everything is creation and everything is vibrational match. But what we believe in is, we love Nick's stuff. We feel the vibration of what he's teaching. And if any of you are looking for a training program to really work as a coach, and to be to learn the tools from Nick, we're going to share a link that is an affiliate link, and we only promote people that we work with. We only promote people that we pay money to actually study with. So this is why we would recommend it, because we know that, I followed Nick for long enough to see the results he's getting, to see the quality of the members of his tribe, and to really, to have a good feeling about, well, I really trust him, and I know that he wouldn't let us down, and he wouldn't let you down as well. But feel free, I think you shot a really long video explaining
The
the
training.
course for the freedom leaders, right?
Yeah, and even the collective, like the collective is $25 for the first month to try it out. Anybody can cancel anytime. Like it's very no pressure, no, it's really about building that vibrational 1% community and bringing people together. We're gonna start with local meetups all over the world soon, so it's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, next month we will be reading his book. We'll be studying his book, and maybe he can also jump on calls and answer your questions, because we're really geeky. What I love about Nick's approach is like a lot of the teachers, like I've studied with a lot of the what I call the masculine energy teachers, like even Bob Proctor. It was like break through the terror barrier. Dr. Joe Dispenza, I love him to death. I dream about him all the time. Think he's my lover in another parallel reality. But literally, it's like overcome yourself, do the work, exert yourself. And Nick is the opposite. Nick is more like relax and chill, everything is chasing me, and you see him getting results. And to me, it's like, okay, I can do it the Dr. Joe way, I can do it the Bob Proctor way.
No, but I appreciate that, because I came from that tech background where I was working 60 hours a week for a long time. So I appreciate, for me, living the freedom lifestyle. Freedom isn't just financial freedom, it's time freedom, it's ease,
absolutely,
effortlessness, right?
Yeah.
That's the sweet spot that everybody's looking for. When it comes to like Abraham Hicks and Joe Dispenza, people like to kind of pigeonhole me kind of between the two, where it's deeper than Abraham Hicks. And by the way, with Abraham Hicks, a lot of people don't realize this, but Esther's dominant intent for the work of Abraham Hicks is upliftment.
Yes.
So that's a little something for people to think about. Anyway, so I'm somewhere in the middle between Abraham Hicks, so deeper than Abraham Hicks, but not quite as efforting as Joe Dispenza.
Yeah.
Both amazing teachers, by the way. I love and respect both of them.
Absolutely. So and we've studied all of them. Our community will not stop meditating, and I don't stop waking up at 5 a.m. because I really love the meditations. It's like I don't use ayahuasca and weed and stuff like that. I do it with meditation, right? But equally, I also,
but this is a good point. And like meditation is great, but like I don't meditate. I don't do ayahuasca. Like the only time I'll meditate now is for 5 minutes before I do a remote viewing session, and that's it. Like that stuff, doing processes. A lot of people are doing processes from the energy of effort to try to accomplish something, and that's the wrong energy. You have to do processes from the energy of I'm doing this process because it feels good and for no other reason. That's something that I really highlight a lot for people, because when you say I'm going to meditate to make money show up, I'm going to meditate to make clients show up. Again, you're creating resistance there. Again, it's very basic stuff, but these are really important tweaks that people need to understand. Sorry, I can't stop teaching. Go ahead.
No, I know what you kept saying is like, when you follow your highest excitement, do it for the pleasure and don't do it for the result and the attachment to the outcome. And but it's like one of the biggest things to let go of. I mean, that's why you keep that's why the membership's ongoing, because we're always learning. I know that you created a link for us. And so people actually, when they sign up to the link, you can access the free e-course of Nick, which I think our members would love, because we just like really geeky. Our members actually complain if we stop giving them daily teachings. They're like, I want more.
They sound fun.
Yeah, but I think Nick is with, he teaches the same stuff, but he teaches it in his own way, the way that he compiled it. So I think all of you will love it. Use a slightly different language as well. So, so you'll really get into that. But then also when you then sign up to other things of his, for instance, his Power Manifesting Collective deal of $25 in the first month. month payment, or you sign up for his training, you know, we are affiliates, and because we believe, you know, in co-promoting the best people, and you know, we only work with the best. And you can you go to his YouTube channel and just look at the way that he answers questions, and you will know why we're in his Power Manifesting Collective and why we want to promote him. And so, you know, we really, really love the work that you do, Nick. Do you have the link for us?
Thank you.
Do you have the link for us?
I don't have it. I'll grab it as soon as we're done the call and I'll get it to you.
Okay, so we'll share it on our in our communities and links. So we'll upload this video on YouTube. We'll upload it on our Facebook pages, and so just go there. It's also on our Mighty Networks community. So we'll spread the link so that you can always just access the free e-course. How many lessons is it again, Nick, your free
e-course? There's about 30,000 students that have signed up so far, and I think it takes less than an hour to go through.
But it's not just to understand it, it's to live it, right?
Yeah, I mean, and that's another point, right? So for me, I would read book after book after book after book for years, and not much was changing, because there's a difference between intellectual understanding and the application. And that's why communities like your community or the one that I've built are so important, because we're keeping this stuff in people's faces all the time.
It has to.
It's a form of accountability to get people to make sure that they're actually applying what they're learning.
Yeah. I know when we go into your funnel, right? In your video, you say, this is not for these people. Who is this not for? The work that you do, who is it not for?
Good question. I don't even remember that video or what's in it, but who is this not for? I would say it's not for people who aren't excited about it. It's not for people who don't want to change.
Exactly. That's it.
Yeah, if you sign up for my stuff and you apply it, your life will change. That's for sure.
And Ellen and I also see it, right? Sometimes change, you know, the thing is we all know it, but sometimes we get really stuck. And, you know, sometimes the digging work, you know, the real getting through all the layers, the beliefs, the justifications, the addictions, all of that stuff, it takes time. And, you know, and that's why I think.
Don't practice that belief.
Cancel, clear, delete. Well, we have seen people do it in 1 week. Like a line in 1 week.
It depends on what kind of shift you're talking about, right? So shifts can happen fast. I've seen people get over lifelong anxiety in 30 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I tell people that, you know, it's going to take, you know, if a client came to me with the one-on-one package, we're clearing out all of the stuff they've accumulated for the last 40 years of their life. So no, you're not going to deal with all your stuff in one session. You know, the journey's never over. I still clear stuff sometimes. Nick still clears stuff every week. You know, the whole self-help journey, the law of attraction journey, the human journey is really about becoming more of who we really are and understanding how powerful we really are. And the way that happens is clearing work, right? So the clearing work never ends. Life is always evolving. The more we're in a state of allowing, the more we don't push against our contrast, the more we use those tools like the belief tree process to self-analyze what our emotions are telling us about our perspectives, the more you learn about those things and allow them, the quicker you are going to move through your reality and the more momentum you're going to build.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a really good thing, because I think a lot of people think if I know the law of attraction teachings, then my life will change. No, we actually have to change. We are the match in vibration, either to lack or to actually, you know, allowing, you know, the great things to unfold. And it is, and what I love about your work is as well, Nick, is always you're trying things out. Like you'll say, oh, I've been trying this out for the next week and then 2 weeks, and this is my experience, and then you introduce it. So it's not like you are just using the teachings from the big teachers, you're also allowing it to flow through you.
Totally.
New insights.
I'm not going to teach something that I don't have life experience with, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I do this work not because I wanted to be a teacher or wanted to be a coach. It was literally just a synchronistic unfolding. I do this work because it's so much fun. Like, there is no better place on the planet to be than on the leading edge, right? And like, hacking reality is so much more fun than hacking computers used to be. Right?
Absolutely.
So like,
Yeah.
reality is awesome. Let's just take the time to like explore what's possible and push the boundaries of what's possible and have fun while you're doing it. One of the things that sticks out the most this year was a documentary I was watching. It was called How to Be a Billionaire. And the guy was driving his Ferrari and the documentarian was sitting in the passenger seat, and he asked him, he said, what would you say is the one key ingredient to becoming a billionaire? And the guy's answer was enjoying the journey no matter where you are in that journey, right? And that's the motto for being in the new paradigm, right? So again, make life awesome, and life is going to be awesome right back at you.
Can you say something about people who have been, genuinely doing a lot of work around getting out of the resistance, getting out of the what we call the addiction to negative emotion, or being very identified with negative emotion, because a lot is happening right now. They might have lost their relationship, lost their job, maybe lost clients, they might have lost people that they love. What would you say to them in terms of the framework that you work with?
Yeah, so I mean, what I would say would be dependent on that person and where they're at. If they had awareness about the law of attraction, I would say, okay, so you experience something, you've got this emotion at the surface, but again, this emotion is just the byproduct of a perspective that you're practicing. Do you want to continue practicing that perspective?
No.
And that's perfectly valid, right?
Yes.
If somebody wants to choose to be an angry person or a sad person, they're allowed. In reality, we come here for multitudes of experiences. And the way I look at experiences, and I love this word, I've heard Bashar say it, or maybe it was Elon. Anyway, so the word is exploration. If you see your contrast as an exploration, it takes some of the heaviness away, it takes some of the weight away. And if you understand that the sadness or the anger that you continue to practice keeps you in that exploration, and make you aware that you can choose to leave that exploration anytime you like, but it starts with you changing perspectives. So that's kind of the first thing I would share with those people, and make them realize that you always have the ability to choose when it comes to what's going on inside of you.
That's choice. Choice is so important, because I think when people are in the lower emotions, they actually don't believe that there's a choice, and I think the people that are studying law of attraction, they at least know that their identity is more than what's going on with them, and that there's a purpose to everything that they're experiencing. And so I think, I don't know whether there's anybody here who would like to have a question. If you can, happy to help you unmute yourself. Or
I love questions. Fire away.
Yeah, if anybody would like, you could raise your hand or put it in the chat. Is there anybody there?
I promise I won't bite.
So I think people are a bit shy. They're a bit
That's
shy.
okay.
Yeah. So anyways, Nick, I think you should make more of these mashups.
Yeah, they're awesome.
It's all about, just for me, finding the time. Actually, since I did those mashups, I since started playing with like a DJ synthesizer and a whole bunch of stuff. So maybe someday you'll see a CD released by DJ Manifest or something like that.
Because there's a lot of like Abraham Hicks, but we really love what you do as well. Like everything I want is chasing me. I'm a vibrational match, everything I want.
Those audios, you notice how they're more upbeat. So one of the new awarenesses I had over the summer was that there's kind of two styles of meditation. One is the more slow, relaxing style of meditation. The other is more pump me up, upbeat, like the audio you were playing earlier. And the difference is that when somebody is more in a state of resistance, when they have more negative momentum going on, playing the slower, more upbeat is typically more effective. And once you've moved up high enough in the guidance scale above the halfway point, then the upbeat stuff is what's going to lift you up even higher. So depending on where you're at, different styles of music are going to help you with your vibration in different ways.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm sure that a lot of our tribe will actually just register for your free e-course, look at your videos, and probably next month we'll be discussing your book, you know, chapter by chapter. And yeah, and maybe some of them will even like join your freedom leaders, because we know a lot of people here, they are they have all these different careers, you know, like us. We were like in corporate life, in respectable jobs, but then maybe it wasn't really what we signed up for, and we're looking for this new breakthrough thing. And you know, and I think, you know, just watch the video of Nick talking about his processes and the freedom leaders and all the guidance that he will give the people who are trained by him, and feel into whether that's right for you. You know the answer.
I've got a 60-minute launch webinar that I did on the launch where I go through the entire program in detail. So if anybody wants access to that webinar, they can just reach out on Facebook or shoot me an email, nick@nickbreau.com.
Yes, and we'll be posting the link and anyways as well. So Ellen, you have a last question?
No questions, just a lot of gratitude and appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your appreciation.
So thank you everybody for being here, and you'll hear more from Nick and us because we'll be looking at his book, and I'm sure we'll have lots of questions. And but in the meantime, you can go to his YouTube video and just like get inundated by what he has to offer.
Yeah, there's a lot there.
There's a lot there. So lots of love, everybody. We'll see you later. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye, everyone.